Ever since I was a little kid, I was into passenger airliners, whether it's 747 or Concorde. I was very much into commercial flight. So for the Murano, I drew a lot of inspiration from that, and especially from the early era, where flying was such a special experience. But they not only created the mood, the feeling, but also inspired us on the actual shape of the design to create this lightweight aero aesthetic.
So I'll admit it, I am a bit confused, and no, it's not because I'm a sports car guy or a Lotus guy talking about crossovers. I am confused by demographics. Now, we're just gonna put it out here. The people who buy these are generally yummy mommies. Nissan says that those yummy mommies are, at least in the case of this Rogue, which is their smaller crossover, they are 29 years old, married, have one child. So far, you with me? If you move up to their sport utility vehicle, the Pathfinder, it is the full-size sport utility vehicle, that one is bought by 34-year-old yummy mommies that are married and have 2 kids. But now let's go back to our Murano case. Nissan says that these are bought by 45-year-old married empty nesters, meaning the kids have gone off to college. Now, I think that's a little young for college age, and most of the people that I see driving these are the yummy mommies that have small kids. Now, to further complicate things, the cross-shopping of Nissan Muranos, that could be this $50,000 Lexus RX, or it could be a $25,000 Ford Edge. And that's where we get to a bit of confusion, where I could use your insight on this. What do you think is competition for a Nissan Murano? Let me know in the comments below, or via our social networks, MotoManTV, all one word, MotoManTV, all one word, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. So we've established that this is the domain of the yummy mommy. But the question still stands, how does it drive? Well, up front, it's the same 3.5-liter V6 you see in many other Nissans. In this application, it's 260 horsepower with 240 pound-feet of torque. I'm not even going to bore you with when the torque comes in. Driving it on kind of backcountry roads here in Napa Valley and out by the beach, I've got to tell you, it's actually it's beyond peppy. I would call it more than peppy. It's got a little bit of low-end grunt to it. And this is a larger vehicle. This is a D-segment car. So being a D-segment car, it's got a bit of a heft to it because it's got a longer wheelbase. So believe it or not, going around corners, I mean, it's no Porsche 911 Turbo S, but around corners it stays somewhat stable. Riddle me this, what does a Cadillac Escalade, an Audi RS7, and a Nissan Murano baby buggy have in common, besides 5 doors? If you said a unique LED light signature, you would be correct. You see, Cheryl and the boys wanted to one-up, well, the Lexus there, and even their own Nissan Rogue by putting a cool front end. So they came up with this boomerang light signature, which I have to say at night, looks awesome. Now let's talk transmissions. Folks at Nissan, they call this Xtronic. I scratched my head there during the presentation. I'm like, what does Xtronic mean? So I called my engineering buddy, asked him. He says it's a very fancy way of saying your favorite and mine, CVT. Now, we've discussed this before. I am totally biased against these things. They just don't have any feedback. I just like the feel of a geared transmission. But they're going for fuel economy, and basically, they have achieved it. This is a large, I mean, it's not as large as a Pathfinder, but this is a large utility vehicle. It's a crossover. And it gets 21 in the city, 28 on the highway, and 24 combined. But as a basis of comparison, the Volkswagen Group, they used geared transmissions, 7, 8-speed transmissions, to get similar results from a similar sized vehicle. So there are 2 different ways to get these kind of results. So let's put that aside. How does it drive? Now, what's funny here is there is a step in the transmission, in the ratios, because the CVT is basically a belt, and there's 2 pulleys, and they moved based on ratios. And I want to point something out here. We're driving on a road that has a complete cliff, and it falls off, and there's a cow right there. Welcome to the California Republic. Hi, buddy. What's going on? Do you like CVTs? So it's not just the transmission that increases the fuel economy, there's some good old engineering, like a diet. This thing is about 150 pounds less, 146 to be exact, than the previous model. And it's got the fancy active aero shutters in the front. And there's another cow. But I think we should get back to pissing and moaning about transmissions. Don't you? So let's say, and I want to power out of the corner, I hit the gears, it feels like the car has shifted gears, even though there aren't gears. Now here's the funny thing. It's kind of like the switch from, I know I'm dating myself here, from records to CDs, or even, okay, let's go even to today. It's kind of like the switch from old school BMW M5 to new school BMW M5. Previously, you had just the engine noise that came out of the exhaust, where now a lot of those kind of cars have a speaker that pipe in the engine noise. It's artificial. Effectively, you're getting the same thing here, this artificial gearing in a CVT, and the idea is to make you feel like, oh, it's normal, not new and weird. Make sense? So 2 other interesting tidbits of information here. This is the first ever Nissan Murano to be manufactured in the good old US of A, specifically Canton, Mississippi. And number 2, the infotainment system has been completely redesigned. It works very much like your iPad with all the icons and the pinch to zoom feature. Much like any other car, one can either Bluetooth or plug in their phone to the dashboard and share music, videos, all that kind of stuff. But unlike other cars, the rear seat passengers, they can charge their phone, and not with just one of those like cigarette plug adapters. One can actually plug in a real iPhone cable into the back and get the benefit of a charge. But not just the benefit of a charge, you can share your entire playlist, no matter how bad it is, with all of the people in the car. So let's say your job is nothing short of reinventing the look of the modern-day baby buggy. How do you even get started on the path to such a daunting task?
So when I was a little kid, I saw the Aston Martin Lagonda, a very unusual car, and it just caught my attention because it kind of defied any category. It looked like a sports car, but it was a luxury sedan, and it looked like it was straight from the future. It had touch-sensitive controls, futuristic instrument panel, and it was low and sleek. And so I just started drawing that car. It was easy to draw because it's just all straight lines and the stretch shape.
If I'm honest, exterior design, that is something that is incredibly subjective. So I'm going to let you guys argue in the comments below or via our social networks of whether you like this design or if you don't like this design. But the interior, that's something that's a bit more factual. And this is where I think Nissan has completely knocked it out of the park. And I don't mean just from a design perspective, I also mean from fit and finish and some of the materials they use. Now, we've talked about this before, and you know how I love a wood dash like on a Mercedes, and it says very old world European, just craftsmanship to me. But Shiro and the boys at Nissan, they're like, you know what, we're an Asian car manufacturer, and damn it, we're gonna stand up as an Asian car manufacturer. Well, even though this car is not built in Asia. So they do this like faux mother of pearl inlay thing here. And if you're going to sell a car to yummy mommies, you really can't do much better than faux mother of pearl inlay, whatever it's called. It looks totally cool on the dash, which brings up an incredibly important point. Let me explain. Normally you turn up to a car dealership and you say, I'll have the red one with a tan interior. But Nissan decided to change all that and say, we're going to do themes. So what you're looking at is cashmere. There are 2 other themes on offer. There's charcoal, black, and then there's mocha, which you and I would call brown. They call it a coffee leather interior. Me personally, I would want the cashmere, because think about what the purpose of this vehicle is. Basically, you're carting Rugrats to school or Starbucks, wherever yummy mommies take their Rugrats. So wouldn't you want something that's a bit more namaste? Okay, so let's close out with this Ken guy, because I'm curious. If your job by day is to make crossovers look like the dawn of the jet age, what is it you're driving at night?
I have a very open-minded taste in cars, I guess. Over the years, not so many. I mean, since I've been working at Nissan, I've been driving various Nissans, but my personal car that I own is a Citroen DS. It was love at first sight, where to me, it's another spaceship sort of car, and it's floating along very a little bit mysterious and kind of it shows the future.
So click here to watch one of our 250 other episodes, click here to subscribe, and can we ask you guys a favor? Can you watch these within the first 36 hours? Because it gets us more views, which gets us more dollars, which gets you more episodes. And of course, follow us, MotoManTV, all one word, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. I'll see you guys next time.